Hello, Yvonne Gaybauer here with my therapy room, and after I did my last video I asked people to let me know if they wanted any certain techniques or if they wanted me to show them something, and I had one, and in the video I had mentioned that when I first started art journaling that quite often I would make my own gesso and texture paste. So she asked me if I would show her what I did, and so I'm going to just throw together a batch of it. I'll use it. It's, yeah, for some of my art journal pages I don't care if I'm using the store brand or a brand of gesso. Quite often I just need a layer for some tooth for my paint or sprays to adhere to. That's it. I don't have any cheap craft paint. I've got black, and you can make black gesso as well. I don't have any white, and I really don't want to use my Liquitex white to mix up gesso. But what I might do is, actually I will do, I've got an old can of just acrylic paint. Boom, that's it. So I think what I will do is use it as my paint base. I might do the black. No, I won't. I'll use the other, because I also want to mix up a thing of texture paste as well, just to show you what I do there. So what I'll do is I will put the recipes in the, sorry, I put the paint on the table and it jiggled everything. I apologize. So I will put the recipe in the comments below when I'm all done. But anyways, here's what I use. You can use baby powder or talc. I don't particularly like the smell of baby powder on my pages, so I actually go out and buy Plaster of Paris. I think it gives better tooth to my gesso than the baby powder does. My mom makes her own. She uses baby powder. It works fine. I just don't want my pages smelling like a baby's bottom. Anyway, so I'm gonna use some Plaster of Paris, some cheap craft glue, paint. I've got a little jar. I've got a little tongue depressor popsicle stick. You can use whatever you want to mix it up with, but it's that easy. So what I need is 1/4 of a cup of Plaster of Paris. So I'm going to measure. I'll see if I can do this without getting it all over the place. I'll probably get it all over the place, but that's all right too. Yeah, I'm getting it all over the place. So 1/4 of a cup, thereabouts. Close enough. Whew. Dust all over the place. You might want to wear a mask. Not quite 1/4 of a cup. Not that it really matters. And really, if you want thicker or... Oh, there we go. Now I definitely have 1/4 of a cup. Alrighty, so I'm going to put that into my jar. Now I have a huge mess here. Good old palette knives, right? What are they for? Here's what you can use them for. Now I'm scraping up all the crud off my mat here too, so I'm going to toss that little bit into the garbage. So a 1/4 cup of Plaster of Paris, 1/4 of a cup of water. So I'm just going to throw that in there. Some people use hot water. I just throw cold water in there. It works. You're going to want to mix that up really well because you want that Plaster of Paris to be all nicely mixed. You don't want any lumps or anything like that. And then I'll show you how it works too. I've got a little page out here. Got something extra in my jar that I don't need. That's probably the crud from my mat here. Yeah, I think I've got a little bit of crud down there. That's hilarious. Oh well, that's okay. It is what it is. Alrighty, then, now this is going to be the messy part, so I'm going to grab, because usually I just squeeze it out of a paint bottle. I don't usually dip it out of a can of paint. And this isn't going to be white. This is sort of a cream color, but I'm okay with that. So I'm just going to grab my 1/4 cup measuring cup and do it that way. So I want a 1/2 cup. This really is going to be messy. 1/2 cup of white paint. So I'm just going to use this. So this particular gesso is going to be a little bit creamy colored. That's okay. I'm good with that. So really, if you've got a paint store in your area that sells little sample bottles, or they've got a bench or a tray or a shelf or whatever of paint colors that people brought back they don't like, I mean, you can create all different colors of gesso if you really feel like it. For what I use my gesso for, it can be cream, it can be white. Well, it can't be black. That would be kind of crazy. But anyway, unless I want a black gesso, which I've done black gesso pages, that's not a problem. Okay, good enough. Alrighty, and then I want a 1/4 cup of glue. Well, this could take a while to get that out of there, out of that little wee thing. Oh man, am I even going to get this lid off of here? There, that won't take as long now. So a 1/4 cup of glue. And I buy the cheap dollar store brand glue. That's all I need. So before I mix that in there, I'm just going to mix the paint and the Plaster of Paris. Okay, and the 1/4 cup of glue. There we go. Okay, mix this all together. Alrighty. Now, it looks like it's probably about the texture of, I'm guessing, like pancakes or pancake mix or something by the time I'm done here. There, good enough. Alrighty, so there is my mixed up. Move my glue out of the way. So what I'm going to do, and you just want, and I just mixed it into a jar that would seal really good. So I just use canning jars, really all that I do. I'm just going to, okay, my camera shut off. Then I realized I actually had the recording not even on the recording thing, so I'm hoping that this even worked. It'd be a real bugger if it didn't. Okay. There we go. I'm just going to grab my, I should have had my other gesso over here. Oh, I do have it here. Ah. I'm going to grab a different brush though, just so I don't get this mixed up. And this is the gesso I bought from Walmart. So I still don't use expensive, I mean, I have the expensive gessos as well, but quite honestly, this is what I usually use. So this is actually white. So I mean, there's going to be the color difference, but I want to just show you the coverage difference, I guess. So here's the white. Let's move this lid out of the way. Oops. So I mean, I'm putting this one on a little bit thicker, so maybe I'll give the other one just a nice bit of a thicker coat as well, just so that we're doing samesies as far as coverage goes. There. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my heat gun and I am gonna dry this up. I'm gonna come back after I've got it dried. Sorry, I'm going to come back again. I'm going to just zoom in a bit. I showed this on another video, but just in case, sorry, my arm I was going to move some stuff out of the way to bring my camera ahead just a little bit here. There we go. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here and just show you that you don't need all the texture tools. You can actually create texture using your heat gun and your gesso. And it doesn't matter if you've got the homemade gesso or the store-bought gesso, you can do the same thing. When you're heating your gesso up, oops, ah! Okay, now I got paint all over the place. Hold your heat gun really close to the gesso. Be careful you don't start your page on fire, of course. But you can create texture. And as it dries, you'll see that it bubbles up. So that bubbling will stay there after the gesso is dried. So you can do that. And here's the stuff that I just made doing the same thing, right? So there you go. You can create texture on your page without any texture tools whatsoever. And just let it bubble. It is so cool. Okay, I'll come back once this is all dry. Okay, so there's the two different, this one's still a little bit wet. The homemade stuff has got quite a bit more tooth than the store-bought stuff, I find, and I'm okay with that. The brush strokes pretty much disappeared. Here you can still see the brush strokes in the store-bought stuff, so I guess depending on what you want. Could have been the brush I was using too. I mean, two different kinds of brushes. That is true. I should have probably used the same. But there you go. Now this was a smooth surface that I painted on. So yeah, just bubbled up. You can see it even almost turned a different color. I kind of held it a little bit too close. Hang on, my camera's not going to focus because I don't have something dark on the page. There. But anyways, I kind of went a little bit close with this one, so it discolored a little bit. But anyway, so there is the homemade gesso. Texture paste is, so to mix up your texture paste, where did I put my other jar? Okay, so for the texture paste, I'm going back to my Plaster of Paris. And I want 1 cup of Plaster of Paris. So I'm going to take that. And again, you can use baby powder. I think there's even recipes out there where you use baking powder. It's a baking soda, one of the two. Just anything, I guess, that's a powder, right? Ordinary talc doesn't have to be baby powder. It can be whatever kind of talc powder you have, I guess. But again, I just like the texture I get. Now that is not going to pour in there, is it? Didn't think that one through, did I? I'm going to make myself a funnel. I'll come right back. Okay, I made a funnel. All I did, I've got these sheets that I've printed out quotes on that I've used in my art journal pages, and this was one that I made that I didn't use, so I just made it into a funnel. It works. There. So my 1 cup of, there, see, this is my Life is Like a Bicycle quote that I used on my balance page. Anyway, all right, so you want 1 cup of Plaster of Paris. You want a 1/2 cup of your gesso that you just made. So all I'm going to do is pour 1/2 cup out of this one that I made here. So 1/4. And another 1/4. Oops. And try to get as much of the paint or the gesso out of there as I can. So there, you can mix up some homemade gesso and then mix up some homemade texture paste to go along with it. Alrighty. And then it says, now you can use Mod Podge if you want, or you can use the glue. So I'm just going to use another 1/4 cup of the glue. If I can get another quarter cup out of it. Oh, it's making all sorts of awesome sounds. It's the glue, trust me. Okay, now I'm going to get the giggles. Oh, yikes. Okay, whoa, 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 stop, stop, stop. I think that's a little bit more than, oh no. Okay, so quarter cup of the white glue. Now I probably should have mixed the paint into the plaster of Paris before I poured the glue in, but hey, I like a challenge. How about you? Sure. Now we're going to get to the bottom and mix this all up. And you're going to have to really dig your stick down to the bottom of this one. Now this is going to be very thick as it mixes up, right? I mean, it's texture paste, right? So you want it to be all thick and pasty, and maybe a stick like this isn't what I should be using to mix it up. You know what? I've got a paint stir stick sitting right here, and I think I'm going to use that. Okay. Alrighty, so I just grabbed a stencil that I had. So I'm going to grab my palette knife and grab some of my texture paste out of there. And I think I'll put it on this side so you can see it. There we go. Now, what I've also used, if you don't want to go through the hassle of mixing your own texture paste, I've actually just gone to the hardware store and I've picked up polyfill. I've even picked this up. Now this, and I've tried it, and it actually works. This stuff's kind of cool. It's pink and it dries white, so you know when it's dry. So there's the homemade texture paste. I'm going to zoom in a bit so you can see what it looks like. There you go. Okay, and then I am going to show you what it looks like with this stuff. So this is very thick. You would get lots of texture with this. You could get quite. And really, if you want your texture paste that you made to be thicker, add more plaster of Paris, right? So there's that. So I'm just going to show you a comparison between. And this stuff was a couple of dollars for this tub, and that tub would last you a long time. This stuff. Now this stuff is quite watery, much like your stuff you just made. Like, it's not super, super thick. It's very smooth. It's just drywall mud that you would use on your wall to, yeah, drywall. It works. It's basically what texture paste is. Although manufacturers probably wouldn't tell you that. Maybe it isn't. I think it's very similar. Anyways, I'm just going to do a comparison of the three of them here. There, I'll wipe that off after. Alrighty, let me get the lid back on this so I don't forget. Alrighty, and then I'm going to dry this. So really, plaster of Paris is powdered drywall compound. You can actually buy plaster of Paris, add water to it, drywall your walls if you want with it. Anyway, so there you go. I'm going to zoom in as close as I can and still keep it in focus. I'm going to grab maybe that'll keep it in focus. That's the problem with a white background. Come on, baby. it up like this. Sure. So there's the homemade stuff. Oops, not quite dry, as I just finished. Very smooth texture. There's the stuff that was pink, very hard, and this is the dry. This and this has got very much the same consistency, but all three of them have got a lot of dimension to them. I don't know if you can see that. So yeah, it works. It works, right? Yeah. So there you go. Make your own texture paste, make your own gesso. Doesn't have to be expensive stuff. But I mean, I don't have to use the expensive stuff. The homemade stuff works just as well Any questions? Let me know. Give me a thumbs up if you like the video. Subscribe so you'll get email notifications of when I do my next videos. Again, any other suggestions or techniques you want me to show you, I would be more than happy to do that. I'll put all the links to my social media at the bottom of the page. And thank you once again for coming along. Bye-bye.